Hello. How are you? I think you're my only viewer right now, but I hope that you're doing well. Thank you for attending the write-in tonight. I'm glad that you're enjoying the music as well. I was not super good about promoting this write-in this week. I scheduled it kind of last minute, but I am having a good time. I'm working on some Runaways edits. I got this manuscript back from my proofreader earlier this month, and it's just been a super busy month, so I haven't had the chance to look at it very much. I'm only on chapter 7 out of 42. So I'm hoping to knock out a couple chapters worth of proofread comments today. But yeah, we're doing pretty well. Excited for spooky season later this week. What you working on tonight? Posting today's flower. Are you doing like a daily flower Inktober sort of thing? That's cool. I hope that's going well for you. I managed to do Inktober last year, and I forgot it was happening this year, and so I did not jump on that bandwagon. But I always love seeing what everyone comes up with. It's such a cool community event. Do you want to get started on the next sprint? Are you ready? Are you ready to go? Flora from one of your old story worlds. Slowly running out of them, only to make more during the rest of the year and still have enough to get through a month with. That's really cool. Where are you posting them? On Tumblr? That's so cool that it's Flora from one of your story worlds instead of flowers from our world. Doing world building, and especially in the flower department, like flora and fauna, is so difficult for me because our world is already so full of incredible creatures that it's hard for me to come up with new crazy creatures for world building. I find it so difficult. I will have to look these up. Don't mind me just going through and liking things on your blog. Is this on Leslie Moonwriter, or is this a different blog? Yours is Leslie Moon, right? Or is that a different one? I could be mistaken. I don't always remember everybody's Tumblr handles to YouTube handles to Discord handles. It's a lot of mutuals to keep track of. Kaze. What is your Tumblr? Oh my god, I'm forgetting. I'm so sorry. Hi, welcome. I'm sorry. I'm so forgetful. Is your Tumblr username just Kaze? Or is it something different? The last message I can see is, I'm Kaze on Discord, and then can you not see my messages? Unless you are sending messages over Discord, in which case I might just be confused. Oh wait, you have been posting these in the Discord as well. I am just confused. No. Yeah, I see you've been posting the flowers in the Discord. I didn't realize that's what you were talking about at first. They look gorgeous. I admit I haven't checked the Inklings Discord that much this month because I failed to write an Inkling story. Again, my life was super crazy this month. I had a lot of life stuff going on. But your flowers are gorgeous. I love how different they all are. Yeah, I don't know why YouTube is auto-censoring just the thing, but apparently I wasn't following you on Tumblr before, so that's why I was confused. I'm sorry. Later tonight I will have to go through and reblog all of these. I need to refill my queue. This is extremely convenient. No, I always think it's so cool to see other people world build out their world build out their worlds. And like I said, flora and fauna is so hard for me to do because like our world is already so weird and cool that I can't think of anything new or original myself. So I always find it so impressive when other people are able to do original world building, especially with flora and fauna. It's so impressive to me. And these are all so unique and varied, and you have background for all of them. That's so cool. I don't know why I wasn't following you before. I think I just wasn't looking at the Inklings, the server, for the past month and a half because I was like, I'm not doing the challenge, don't look at me. I like signed up at the last minute and then immediately backed out again because I was overwhelmed. But these are all so cool. I will definitely go through and like read them all in depth after I log off for the night, or maybe tomorrow when I'm at work. But these are all super cool. Are you going to be working on more flower arts for tonight, or are you going to be writing something? Since 2019, wow, that's a lot. That's so cool. The description, cool. The descriptions are decently long too. Like you have depth to these. That's awesome. No, this is so cool. Are your commissions open right now? I saw that you had those at the top of the page. But that's something from March. Because in my book Runaways, Hannah is she has a special interest in botany. And so she goes around naming the like scientific names of like all the plants and animals in the world. And like this ends up being relevant because like she knows the names of things, and like names are significant in the fairy world. But like once she gets to fairyland, like I kind of dropped that a little bit because like I didn't come up with any like scientific names for fairy plants, and I'm like, well, the taxonomical naming doesn't exist in fairyland. But it would be so fun to have like just like one or two like little of like, oh look, here's a fairy plant, and like later after the book, like Hannah goes back and like as a teenager or something, like starts categorizing fairy plants because she can. That would be so fun. Like you're the perfect person for this. Like that could be like a fun extra or something in the back of the book, or like for the mailing list, or I don't know. But yeah, I'll have to brainstorm what I want you to, like, if I can give you a passage or a description or something from the story that I have already, where it's like, oh, here's a description of a plant that I came up with, but I don't have like an actual definition for it. That would be super fun. Well, if we want to get started with the next sprint, we can, so that way you can get started on your description for your plans for tonight. But I'll definitely let you know what I come up with for that. That'd be super cool. I would love to work with you on that. Yeah, like I said, I really struggle with this. I don't have a lot of description, so I'm gonna hunt through my document right now and see if I can come up with anything. Cool. Are you ready to get started then? All right, cool. Happy writing. Hi, Heba. Glad you can make it. We'll be writing for about another hour and a half maybe, so made it right on time. Kaze, I found about 5 examples, like specific examples of plants that I came up with. And then like one nondescript, like, oh, they see wildflowers. So there you could have like the full range to come up with whatever you want as far as like fairy plants go. I don't know how many you'd be willing to do, but however many you want, you can take your pick. But how did that sprint go for everyone? Welcome, fully booked penguin. Glad you can make it. How many would I like? As many as you're willing to do. I'm not sure. This was a very impulsive, like, oh, this is something that is possible, a sort of thing. So I have not put much thought into this. I'm also not done going through the manuscript. I'm like halfway through, so not sure yet, but yeah, it's never good to rush these sort of things. I'm glad you were able to get some descriptions in. Yeah, we'll be doing some more sprints. Yeah, you don't have to decide right away. We can come back to this if you want. I am working on Runaways edits tonight. And Kaze here does very cool fantasy world building, specifically like flora designs for their own book, which is very cool. And I'm pretty terrible at coming up with that stuff myself, which is ironic considering one of my characters is like a botanist, and so, or amateur botanist, and so we were like, hey, Spider-Man pointing meme. Yeah, I am working on Runaways. So I was very impressed by Kaze's drawings, and I thought it would be cool to commission them to do some of these for Runaways so that I could have cool fairy plants for the story. I think that would be fun. So we were just discussing that. Oh! Hi Leslie, glad you could make it. Oh, new D&D campaign! That sounds like so much fun. I hope you had such a good time. No worries, I'm glad you were able to pop in for a little bit. You'll have to tell us some other time about your D&D character. I'm very, very curious to hear about that. Thank you. Oh, cool. Eldred are such fun characters. I haven't played one yet, except for like a one-shot, and I'd really love to revisit that character background again. And bards are always such a fun time. I hope you have so much fun playing this campaign. Have a good night. Yeah, so for our newcomers, what are you going to be working on tonight? As I mentioned before, I'm working on some of my Runaways edits. Hopefully, this will be my last round of edits. This is my proofreaders comments, and so after this it's like all my tiny little commas and grammar and like last little line comments are done. It's done. I shouldn't touch it anymore. As long as the impulsive thoughts don't get to me and I don't want to tweak anything, this should be the last round of edits, and then the words are done, and then I have to step away from the book, and then it's done. And it's done, and then I'll have to fix typos at some point, but because there are always going to be typos, but then it's done. And so I'm doing all the last little edits based on my proofreaders' comments. And it's a little bit of a slog, but because commas are boring, but we're getting through it. I think I'm on chapter 7-ish, chapter 8-ish, no, 7, out of 42, so there's a lot. I'm glad you like the music. Many people have liked the music. I didn't realize Nintendo didn't have their, like, soundtracks in the database, so they can't get copyright striked until my fiance told me, like, last week. So I have like the Joy of Fall Autumn Nintendo Music mix on because it's Halloween week and we need the fall vibes. Good fall vibes. I've reused the same singular Dulcimer CD like way too many times. I need more Dulcimer CDs. Ooh, that's exciting. Draft 1 of your book 2 of your series tonight. That's so cool. Sequels always sound so hard. I'm not brave enough to write a series yet. I wish you the best of luck with that. They sound difficult, but very exciting. I think this is going to be draft 7. 7. Can you believe that? 7. If you told me that 3 years ago, I don't think I'd believe you. Ooh, interactive fiction sounds fun. What is a game jam? character run away even if they're single. I end up wanting to tell everyone's story. I understand that. That's very fair. I guess it has kind of happened with Runaways. I haven't written a series yet, but all of the side characters have run away with their own short stories for their backstories, because I have a fairly sizable cast of side characters for it being a standalone book of 300 odd pages. I have like 4 significant side characters, and a decent cast in the archenemy, in the Unseelie Court. And so I have plans to write a collection of short stories to go as a companion to Runaways, where I explore all these different side characters and the rest of the Seelie world, just through like little vignettes, like nothing long, maybe 10 or 20 pages max per character, maybe some poetry sprinkled in there, just like little vignettes, you know, nothing crazy. But if I do that for each character, it'll be pretty long, so I have to write a whole second book, and it's just gonna be a collection. So I've been kind of trying to work on that in tandem with the Runaways edits, but it's got time gone away from me this month, so we'll see what happens. Game Jam is an event where people make games like anywhere a few days to a month, sometime tiny period of time. Not worried about graphics and other all-time consuming stuff, just making the thing. That's so cool. I remember you mentioning that you were getting into making video games a little while ago. That's such a cool skill. I hope you have so much fun with that. This sounds like such a cool event to go to. Next weekend I'm going to a video game convention with my fiance and some friends of ours in a nearby city. And he repairs retro video games, but he's never gotten into like making them or coding them. So that's so cool that you're involved in that. I just love learning about all the different communities of creative people online. Alright. Are we ready to get started with another sprint? Yeah, you're getting there. You're building those skills. Super important. Awesome. Let's go. Happy writing. all doing? I believe that the playlist switched over to whatever was auto-playing next. It's still autumn-themed video game music. Hopefully it doesn't get copyright striked. I'm not gonna change it, because I'm enjoying the vibes. YouTube Live Studio isn't yelling at me yet, so I think we're good. I think we're in the clear. I think this sprint went pretty well for me. I've got through chapter 7. There's still so much to do. I can't tell you how many comments I have to resolve because if I open that tab it'll crash my computer, so I'm not gonna risk it. 560 words, nice! That's a lot. Congratulations. Also, Fully Booked Penguin, I see on your Instagram that you're reading Ranger's Apprentice earlier this month. That is one of my favorite book series from when I was a kid. I hope that you enjoy it. I admit the world building isn't the greatest, but I absolutely love the character dynamics to death. I read it like 4 or 5 times through middle and high school and read it to my younger siblings. And I think one of my last Halloween costumes was making like a ranger cloak. So I think everybody mistook me for being not Will, but like being Robin Hood instead. But it was fine because I also like Robin Hood. But Ranger's Apprentice is one of my favorite book series, so I hope you enjoy it. 500 words, great. I'm glad it's going well, Hiba. I've never heard of Twine. Is that your writing software? Or for the video game thing? Yes. They're such a fun time. I read like the first 10 books or 11 like through Lost Stories, and then I read Royal Ranger and got mad, and then I didn't read like Brother Band. I think I read like one of the early series, like early years with like Holt as a young man. But I know that he's expanded like the early years into his own whole series. And now there's like the whole Royal Ranger series with like Will's own apprentice is like a sequel series. And there's the whole Brother Band spinoff. And I haven't read any of those. But I think I got my younger brother into it. and my younger sister into it, and they both love the series. So somewhere back at my house, down in the basement where we keep all the Halloween costumes, there's a poorly made, like 13-year-old Etta Ranger cloak in one of the craft bins. That's cool. I'll have to check it out, Hubeth. The original series had like 10 books and then a book of short stories. But they're not all continuous. It's more like mini arcs. So like the first book's kind of a standalone, and then like books 2, 3, and 4 kind of like bleed into each other a little bit. Like book 1 and 2 kind of go with each other, and then books 1, 2, and 3... Books 1 through 4 kind of like bleed into each other. And then books 5 and 6 are their own like duology, and then 7's kind of a standalone, and then 8 and 9 are kind of a duology, and then 10's a standalone. But like it's a coming of age thing where like book 1, the main character's like 15 and he starts his apprenticeship with like the ranger of the fief, and it's like this gruff like mentor-apprentice relationship. And then, like, it follows Halt and Will as he, like, grows up and they go on adventures through each book. And then it's, like, a bunch of little mini arcs, like, they deal with different adventures. And it's all loosely based off of, like, medieval Europe. World building starts as a fantasy, gradually loses the fantasy elements and just becomes, like, alternate history, medieval Europe. So the world building's not the greatest, but the character dynamics are really, really fun. The mentor-apprentice dynamic between Halt and Will is fantastic. The friendships between Will and his different friends are all great. I'm very fond of the series. I highly recommend it. And because it's kind of split up into those, like, sequential arcs, like you'd have arcs in a long-running TV series, like, you can kind of pick it up and put it down between books, which is nice. So if you just wanted to read, like, books 1 and 2, you could. Or books 1 through 4, you could. And then, like, stop and not read all 10. I think the timeline's a little out of order, too, depending on, like, the publication dates. So there's, like, reading lists out there. And then, because they're so popular, his publisher kept asking him to write more. And so he wrote, like, a prequel about the mentor character. And then he's like, well, now the apprentice is all grown up now. And so I guess it's time for him to have an apprentice. And so there's like a whole sequel series about Will taking on his own apprentice. And after that, it got to be too much. And I was in high school and in college, and I stopped following the series. But they're very good. And all of the medieval weaponry it's very clear that's like the author's special interest. And he does research that very well. And so, like, the characters fight with, like, longbows and swords and axes, and there's all the battle tactics, and, like, that's written very, very well. And so, if you have any interest in, like, medieval weaponry or medieval battles or medieval history in that regard, it is very fun. And that actually influenced part of, like, how I wrote, like, the Samavera twins teaching, like, Hannah how to fight. And, like, I've studied with some martial arts before in my life. And I dabbled in archery because of the series, and I'd like to get into like Kema or fencing. That's been an interest of mine. I don't know if it was an interest of mine before I read the series or if the series made it an interest of mine, but it's very well done. It's a lot of fun, and like I said, the character dynamics are great. The highs are high and the lows are low, but it's very fun. It's a very solid like YA coming of age series, I'd say. If you like the trope of like lonely, grouchy old man adopts a kid and then is like, I've only had Will for 5 minutes, and if anything happened to him, I'd kill everyone in this room and then myself. That's the book. That's the book. That's the series. That's it. That's the trope. Like the Mandalorian. What other tropes are like that? Gruff old man adopts a kid and then is like, this is my child now. That's the trope. That's the main draw of the series for me. There's an archery place near where I live now. I'd like to get into it. I did karate for like 9 or 10 years, and it was super fun. I also did swimming, and I gave myself a bad shoulder injury that's become a chronic issue. So until I can get that sorted out, I'm not inclined to really get into another sport that's heavy on the shoulders. But one day soon. Yeah, the nice thing is that they're like young adult books, so they're pretty short as far as like long fantasy series go. Like it's not a Sanderson book. I gave it to my 12-year-old brother and he knocked it out in like a week or so. I think the audiobooks are like in the 10 to 15 hour range, so pretty manageable stuff. And they start off pretty mild in like they deal with fighting and stuff a lot. They start off pretty mild in the violence department because the main character is like a kid. And then as they go on in the series, they gradually become more dark and more violent as they grow with the reader. So by the time Will is a fully fledged adult ranger going on his own missions, the tone is significantly darker by like book 8. Or 9. But I like that a lot, that it grows with the reader. I can stop rambling now if we want to get started with another sprint. I know we're getting pretty close to time. I don't know how far time zones you're all in. let's see if I can get another chapter done. That might be a little bit ambitious. Because most of these comments are just small grammar and punctuation things. I don't really have anything interesting to comment on with my editing, except for how many crutch words I have to delete. That is the worst part. Our mid-afternoon friends. Lovely. Alana the First Adventure. I don't know if I've heard of that. Let me look it up. Because I'm writing a middle grade young adult style fantasy. Oh, Tamara Pierce. Very fun. I don't know if I ever read this as a kid. This looks fun. I do tend to read a lot of like sword and sorcery style fantasy adventure, but Runaways doesn't take place in like the medieval period. I mean, I guess it's kind of a portal fantasy, but ooh, past 2 a.m. Well, I hope you're not staying up on my account, Eva. We can get started with the next sprint then. Happy writing. Hello everyone, welcome back. Oh, bye Heepa. Sleep well. Good night, hope you're able to get some rest even though it was a late night for you. I will also be signing off here shortly because it's not quite as late as 3 a.m., but it is around 11 for me, and I do have work tomorrow, so I will be signing off here shortly, but just wanted to do one last check-in. How was that last sprint for everyone? I did not quite manage to finish chapter 8, but I've got 2 pages left, so I'm pretty close. This music is so serene and calming and tranquil. It's putting me to sleep. Bye, Hiba. No worries about that, Kaze. We all need to get up and relax a little bit sometimes. Ooh, timelines are hard. That's still good progress. Because proofreading is quite tedious, the biggest thing for me is making sure that I'm not just blindly accepting my edits. Because I need to actually like read the changes that have been made and make sure that like the edits that she's made make sense and that there's no like weird formatting with the track changes. That I don't accidentally introduce a typo just because, you know, Google Docs is being weird. So I need to make sure that I'm not like sleepy and my eyes are glazing over and I'm just, you know, going a step down the line. So it is a more labor intensive process than you might think. And I'm getting too sleepy to actually do that effectively. But it's also tedious and boring. So I wear out on this more quickly than actually doing hard editing, like reworking portions of plot and rewriting stuff, which is kind of weird. First novel and second novel happen at different places at the same time and then have a crossing point. That sounds so interesting and so difficult. I wish you the best of luck with that. I had a timeline issue with Runaways as well, where like it's a different problem than that, but like the timelines move different in the Sealy Court versus the Unsealy Court. And the Sealy Court time is slower, so you can like go there and, you know, spend a couple days and then come back and only a minute's passed in the real world. And then in the Unsealy Court, it's like you go for a minute and then you come back and 300 years have passed and like your whole family's dead. So I had to do a lot of like stoichiometry math to make sure that it all matched up, and eventually I was like, I'm just not gonna mention any numbers. That's the safest way to do this. Nobody can fact check my math if I don't put any numbers in the book. So a previous editor, Addison, pointed that out to me, and I was like, oops. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. That's not good writing. Because I think the girls lost like 11 days in the Unseelie court. It was a lot. Yeah, travel time is always difficult. Especially if you have maps or transportation to worry about. Real world logistics. Well, I wish you the best of luck with figuring that out, as well as the next editing that you're going to be tackling, Kaze. I'll be sure to get in touch with you about the flora stuff that we talked about earlier. Thank you both so much for coming to this stream. I'm glad you were able to make it. I'll be sure to post about when the next one will be in November. I don't know if I'll have the time, but I might try to post or schedule more than one. I normally I just do one of these monthly, but I might try to do, 2 or 3 because it's NaNoWriMo. We'll see what my schedule allows me to do with that. But that might be fun. Not affiliated with the NaNoWriMo website, but November writing challenges. I know a lot of people are still doing not NaNoWriMo and no AI Rimo or novel Rimo or whatever. So I might try and schedule a couple extra streams next month. But just be sure to keep an eye on my Instagram or Tumblr or whatever, and I'll be sure to post about those whenever they get scheduled, or I might just do impromptu writing sessions whenever I have the chance to sit down, just to keep the community going. So thank you so much for stopping by, and hopefully you can make the next one. Until then, happy writing!